Okay folks, hopefully by this point you'll have had a bit of experimentation with the different render settings, the different lighting options that you've got within Maya, and you've started to render out your scenes using the Arnold renderer and the Maya software renderer, and you've seen the difference between how lighting and materials appear in the two different engines. If you're going to be using, up until now I've shown you how to use like Lambert and Blinn to shade your objects using the standard Maya software. If you're going to use the Arnold renderer, you might want to explore some different shaders. So at the minute I've got a standard Lambert texture applied to this, Lambert shader. If I go to new material, and instead of using Blinn or Lambert, I'm going to go to Arnold and use AI standard. Now if you click AI standard, it works very similar to Lambert and Blinn, works exactly the same way. You've got lots of options here. So if I go to diffuse, this is your color, so I can change the color to what I want. Hit done. You can change the strength of that colour and the roughness, so how matte it is almost. You can change the specular settings, so this works like Blinn if you want it to be like really shiny and glossy. You can change those settings. And you can change reflection as well, so how reflective it might be to other objects around it and to the floor. So if I just tweak those settings and go to my render view, it works exactly the same way, but with my Arnold renderer, hit render. Hopefully we're going to get some nicer results working in here, because we're using material that was designed for this render engine. So you can see how much it's reflecting the floor in our object, how shiny it is itself. I've turned off the ambient light in here, that's why it's quite dark, just because I wanted to really see the effect. But look how much nicer it works, because we're using the shader that's intended for this render engine. So that's using the AI standard shader. You can use it to texture your objects as well, so again, if you don't want it to be a color, you can apply a file, and this can be a UV map if you've created a UV map, or it could be a tiled texture. So if I just go for something that I use for my axe, like this, kind of odd because it's shiny glossy wood. But hey, let's see what it looks like. So it works with image files as well. Very strange for this, bit odd, but that's the process. Very similar to Lambert and Blinn. It might be worth checking out. That lives, if I show you the hypershade window, the AA standard shader, it lives in the Arnold settings here, and it's AI standard. The other cool one, if you're making characters, is to use AI skin, and it reflects light and works very similar to like skin on a human. So AI skin, and if I just do the hypershade window, show you what that looks like. So it's quite intensive on the graphics card. You see this is rendering it in real time here. So it won't look like that in the final thing, but you can change all these settings on here and how it kind of absorbs light and how shiny you might want it to be. So it is quite realistic. If I just hit render on this scene, we can see if it works. Let's just bring the light up maybe, so it's a little bit stronger. So again, my render settings are pretty low just because I'm conscious of render times when I'm doing these videos. But if I brought the render quality up, the light will be sitting on this very much like skin. So if I've got a really complex object in here, like an arm that I've modelled, or a hand, or a face, and I apply the skin texture to it, you do get some quite interesting effects. Okay guys, so that's using the hyper shade window to apply some of Arnold's materials. So they work exactly the same way. I think the best place to start would be with the AI standard, and have a bit of a go at maybe using it to texture something with UV map, or changing the colour, specular roll off, and the reflection for the kind of shiny things for your weapons, shiny objects or elements to your weapons. Okay guys,